Hello, this is Joe from Joe's Tech Bits. I'm here with another video, and what I'd like to show you today is the built-in features into Windows called Ease of Access. What Ease of Access is a set of functions that will allow you, if you have visual or hearing problems or other, to adjust your settings so that you can either make the screen larger, you can make the sound louder. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So what I'd like to do is first show you how to get into there. If you click on the Start button right here on the lower left and go to Settings, Ease of Access shows up right here. You can click that. And on the left side, there's all the main functions that you can get into and change settings on. The first section is vision, so you can do things with the display, the mouse pointer, the text cursor. There's a magnifier that makes the screen much bigger, which is nice. And unlike the video I had before that showed how to zoom in and out with a browser, the magnifier will let you make the whole screen bigger, whether you're on the internet, on a browser, or some other program. Color filters, high contrast. You can change the contrast to make it easier to read. There's a narrator function will actually speak to you when you click on buttons. And we go down to the hearing. There's some audio functions, closed captions, and the final section, you have speech. You can speak commands, actually. There's keyboard, mouse, and eye control. I'd like to highlight some of the items in this ease of access area. I'd like to start with the display, which is here. One thing you can do is make the text bigger. Now, if you see here, it has an A, a smaller A, and a bigger A. So you just slide this bar from 100%, say to 156, how's that? And you notice the sample text got bigger, but nothing here changed. It won't change until you hit the apply button. Now you see everything got much bigger and easier to see. Very nice. Now if we go back to 100% and hit apply, it takes us back to normal. If you see these items here on the side, there's some helps, not necessarily for this item we're on, but other items that we'll be looking at. But a lot of them will just give you a little description, make your display easier to see. If we move this all the way up to the max, you'll see this on the side here gets much bigger. And you can see now, you can really read that. If you have a problem seeing the smaller text, you can definitely see that. And we'll hit apply again just to bring it back to 100%. Now the next item here in display is make the size of apps and text on the main display bigger. I have it set at 150%, which is what's recommended. But if we go here, I guess the 175 is the biggest. We go up to that and the text on the side disappeared here, but since it got bigger, it put the text underneath. So you didn't lose anything, you just have to scroll down to see it. But that makes the text and everything else much bigger. I'm going to move it back to 150%. Well, let's go to 100. And you see that's really small. You'd have to be pretty good to see that. So let's go back to 150. There's some other items lower down here which you can take a look at. I'm not going to explain them in this video, but if you'd like to check and see what they do, you can Google the item, or maybe it'll show up in one of the help items here. The next item I like to touch base on is the mouse pointer. One of the hardest thing I've seen, especially on some laptops, is the size of the mouse pointer. Well, in Windows, if you're on a laptop or desktop, you can change the size of it. You notice mine's a pretty good size, but there's, again, another slider. You can go down and make it smaller, or you can slide the slider up, and you can see right when you slide it how big it is. I'll leave it like that. And you can also change the color. So if I go to here, I can click that, and you can have a selection of colors which you can click on, any one of them, and you can change the color. You can also pick a custom color. The next item is the text cursor. If we go here, you can see the text cursor is like the bar that when you click on the text area, it will highlight where the text starts, and you can start typing. Now, you can also change the size of that. Here's some sample text right here where you can make it bigger, change the color, and you see we click there and we change the color. And again, this, you can make it as big or small as you like to help you locate where it is. You can also make it thicker. Here's the cursor size, the thickness. You can take that up and make it thicker, and you can see you can have a thick cursor. And it also blinks so that you can find where it is on the screen very easily. The magnifier is a very useful function for making the screen larger. If you look down through the settings here, here's where you can change the view. You can either have a full screen view, or if you click the down arrow here, you can have the magnifier docked, which sets it aside as an area at the top of the screen, and everything you put your cursor on will show up there magnified. For me, I like the lens where it shows just a small square area, and you could put it over any area to magnify it. But first I'll show you the full screen mode. And in order to turn the magnifier on, you can go to settings here and click the button to on, from off to on. Or if you're not in settings, you can hold the Windows logo key, which you know is the lower left-hand corner of the keyboard next to the Control key and the Alt key. If you click the Windows logo key and the plus, it will turn the magnifier on. And there it is. And you can see what the full screen looks like. You can really read that, but sometimes it's a little hard to get around and know where you are exactly on there. So to turn it off, again, you hit Windows logo key plus escape. And now we're back to normal. Now, what I wanted to show you was the lens, which is what I think is the best way to go. And you can change the size of the lens. This is the area that you're going to magnify over the whole screen size. So let's try that. And again, we'll hit the Windows key and the plus key. And now we're in the magnifier again. But there's the lens. Now see, you can move over an area if you want to see it a little bit bigger. And again, you can change the size of this lens to fit your needs. Now, one thing I think is kind of neat, you can click here on this arrow speaker key, I guess you could call it. And now once that turns blue, you can click on something and it'll speak.
Start magnifier after sign in.
But it only is a one-time shot. You have to click here again to do it. Let's see.
Magnifier.
Pretty good at reading the text. Now, one other thing you can do is go into the settings key here, and you can change the voice of the reader. Let's try 0. And we'll go, you can also change the speed of the speaking. Let's go here again and click on this.
Get help.
Now see, it does it once. If I click again, it doesn't come back. It just goes to that link. So I'll have to click it again to read another.
Give feedback.
The lens will work on any screen. If you're in your email or on the internet, you can see different items here. And it'll just magnify everything. Again, to turn it off, you hold the Windows key and the escape, and now you're back to normal. And we'll go back to our settings. Down at the bottom, there's some different controls you can either set or just leave as a default, but Control and Alt is what's called the modifier key. You can use some keyboard combinations to start reading text using the magnifier. The modifier key is two keys together, the Control plus Alt. And if you want to start reading, pause, or resume reading, you have to hit the modifier key, which is Control plus Alt plus Enter. To stop reading, you can hit any key. To read from the mouse pointer, you hit the modifier key and left mouse click. If we like to read a line using the mouse, you can hold your modifier key down, the Control and Alt, and click your left mouse button. Of course, we have to turn on the magnifier first. We'll come down here, back here again. We'll hold our Control and Alt down, click the left mouse button, it'll start reading.
Use these commands to have magnifier read from your screen. Start, pause, and resume reading. Modifier key plus Enter. Stop reading, Any key, read from mouse pointer, modifier key plus left mouse click, read previous sentence, modifier key plus A.
And did you notice the lens followed the text that was being read? So you can both hear the text and see the text at the same time. Now we'll turn off the magnifier, and there's a lot you can do with the magnifier. Just remember, if you want to turn it on without going into settings, your Windows logo key and the plus, and to turn it off, the Windows logo key plus the escape key. The next item is high contrast. This gives you a high contrast display. You'll see when I turn it on. And it's very, very easy to read. It has white on black text, some color text. It shows you here the text is white. Hyperlinks, which are links to websites, or kind of a yellowish. Green is disabled text, and so forth. You can get an idea of what the different settings are here. And again, just to turn it off and on, if you'd like to turn it on with the keyboard, you can use the Alt left shift and print screen key, which is in the upper right hand corner of your keyboard, to turn off the high contrast off and on. The audio features help you make it easier to hear. The first thing you can do is change the device volume. You see I have mine up to 92%, but you can also turn on mono audio rather than having stereo. I imagine mono is a little bit easier to hear, and you can show audio alerts visibly. You can flash the title bar of the active window, flash the active window, or flash the entire screen if you have an alert. So that's the audio settings. The next item I want to show you is the narrator. The narrator is basically a screen reader. It can read emails, websites, all kinds of things. And if you go into the settings, I'll show you quickly how you can turn it on. You can click the button here, or if you're not in the settings, you can hold the Windows key, the Control key, and plus Enter. Hold the Windows key, press Control and Enter, and it'll turn the narrator on and off. But right now, since we're in here, we're going to just click on the button and turn it on.
Settings, Narrator heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help, access your settings, and learn about new features. Narrator is a screen reader that describes aloud what's on your screen, so you can use that information to navigate your device. To start or stop Narrator, press the Windows logo key and Control plus Enter. Explore the sections below to get started. Quick Start button. Learn the basics of Narrator, Alt, Q. Exiting Narrator.
Now what I just did, when you first turn on Narrator, it gives you a little guide reference page, which you can turn off. I'll show you how to do that.
Settings, Narrator heading level
Right
1.
here, if you uncheck
Welcome to
this,
Narrator.
it won't
This is
come up the
Narrator
next
Home,
time.
where you can get help, access your settings,
I'm going to hit
and learn about new
Control,
features.
Windows
Narrator is a screen
Control,
reader that describes aloud what's on your screen.
and Enter.
Exiting Narrator.
And that stops Narrator. So you can do it either way. You can click it from here or whatever. What Narrator will do is read whatever's on the screen. You can point to it with your cursor. It's very, very complex, I would say. There's a lot to learn on it. But if you just want to have a regular screen reader, it's really nice. Now you have different voices here. You can have a female voice. You can have a male voice. Here's David. Let's see what David sounds like.
Settings, Narrator heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help, access your settings, exiting Narrator.
Sounds awful computer-like. Let's try another one. Here it is here. Let's try Mark. And I'm going to hit Control Window key and Enter.
Setting, Narrator heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help, access your settings, and learn about new features. Narrator is a screen reader that describes aloud what's on your screen, so you can use that information to navigate your device. Exiting Narrator.
Actually, that voice sounds a little less like a computer than the first one, first male voice. But let's see, there was one other female voice here at desktop.
Settings, Narrator heading level 1. Narrator heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help, access your settings, and exiting Narrator.
That was pretty close to the other female voice. Now the one thing I ran into earlier when I was trying to get this to work, here's the devices where you want the sound to come out from your narrator's voice. This is my monitor. I use a TV as a monitor through the HDMI. But originally, when I started using this, it set it up to my Yeti Nano, which is my microphone. My microphone has a earphone jack in it, but I didn't have any earphone plugged in, so I didn't hear any sound coming out. So I realized you could change it to this, and then you can just hear it now.
Hey.
I wanted to show you a page where you can actually read the page using the narrator. It's a little hard because sometimes it starts reading at the top of the page. It reads every link at the top and before it gets down there. But I found if you select the start here and the narrator key which they refer to, is either your caps lock or your insert key. So I'm going to hold the caps lock and hit R.
Narrator lets you use your PC without a mouse to complete common tasks if you are blind or have low vision. It reads and interacts with things on the screen, like text and buttons. Use Narrator to read and write email, browse the internet, and work with documents. Specific commands let you navigate Windows, the web, and apps. Navigation is available using headings, links, landmarks, and more. You can read text, including punctuation, by page, paragraph, line, sentence, word, and character, as well as determine characteristics like font and text color. Efficiently review tables with row and column navigation.
Now I hit the Control key and that stopped the speaking, and it looks like the cursor, square cursor went back up to narrator. Let's see if that starts speaking there again. Or better yet, let's click down here.
Narrator selected.
And we'll do a caps lock R.
Narrator also has a navigation and reading
And
mode, which you'll learn more
start
about
there.
in Link, Chapter 3, using scan mode.
The documentation says to use the up and down arrow keys to get to your text, but I think it's a little easier to use the mouse to go to your starting point. Now what I'm going to do now is hit the Windows key, Control and Enter.
Exiting narrator.
And that turns the narrator off. So that's about all the highlights I'd like to show you. There's other items here. You can check them out. There's plenty of help on them, and you can also Google them. I have a video on the narrator since it is kind of involved and to set up if you want to do certain things. So I'm going to put that link in the description. It's a link to a Microsoft video on YouTube, and so look for it there. So hopefully this will be helpful for you to at least get you started and get you looking around some in the settings and trying some things out. And give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Make some comments if you didn't like it or if you have suggestions. And we will see you again next time. Thanks for watching.